With me today is Craig Harrison from our real estate team. We're going to talk about the top tax tactics for FY25, specific for real estate. Now, in the real estate industry, there's a few unique sort of things. What's one of the top things you talk to real estate agents about when you're looking at their tax?
Well, I guess real estate, we've got big revenue that comes through fairly regularly, and what's our biggest cost? Well, it's normally people. So it's really about making sure that when we've got revenue that's come through, big sales commissions, big month before the end of the financial year, understanding, calculating the bonuses or commissions that might be payable to agents and recognising that at end of financial year to make sure you can match revenue to expenses and you don't pay tax on income that you're not really getting all of.
So if I've got bonuses I want to pay to, I don't know, property managers or something or other, do I have to actually pay that before 30 June?
Don't have to pay it, but you do need to calculate it and formalise it and probably let people know at least very soon after 30th of June that they're entitled to it.
And your commissions, as long as they are legally payable, they are deductible?
Correct, yeah, and most of your employment agreements with your agents will say X dollars commission, X split to you.
Yep. Okay, what about flowing on from commissions then? What about superannuation? I know that's a bit of an area where there's been a fair bit of attention recently. What do we need to worry about as a real estate business owner from a super perspective?
Yeah, a lot of focus from the tax office on superannuation lately. Superannuation is only deductible when paid and actually when received by the superannuation fund. So really important, allow up to a couple of weeks from it leaving your bank account to getting to the superannuation fund. And it is that critical timing. When has the superannuation fund received it? That's when it's deductible. So if you want to get a deduction for superannuation for say the June quarter 2025, suggest mid-month you're probably looking at making payments to your superannuation fund.
So I suppose even if you haven't done your full pay run till the end of June, you might do sort of like an interim sort of payment of superannuation midway through the month?
Yeah, you might get 10 weeks out of 12.
Yeah, and is it the same rules for SGC? Because you're talking about tax deductibility there based on due date. But obviously when you've got to pay your quarterly super by the 28th of the next month, I think. What if that's paid late?
Yeah, correct. So it's almost like a mini tax planning thing every quarter. You need to get that paid. If it's not paid by the 28th of the month following the end of the quarter, then it's not deductible. And again,
at all?
Not deductible at all. And again, when the superannuation fund receives it, not when you've left your bank account.
Okay, and I know I've seen a lot of attention of that from the ATO on that late paid super from that quarterly sort of SGC perspective. One of the other big costs in real estate, or one of the costs maybe they like, is cars. Yeah. How do we make sure we're getting all the tax deductions that we are entitled to?
Well, cars, a big one in real estate. You spend a lot of time in your cars. Look, the biggest thing, and probably the thing that people like to do the least, but it is the most tax effective, is keeping a valid logbook. So 12 weeks, keeping track of all your trips, what's business, what's personal. That drives your tax deductibility. If you don't keep that, look, you're limited to at most 5,000 kilometres of business travel. That kind of relates to a bit over 4,000 of tax deduction. And compared to the actual usage of vehicles, that's a really low amount. So keep those logbooks and keep records of your expenses that go with it.
So as painful as it is to do that logbook, how often do you have to do them?
Well, it's for a period of up to 5 years, as long as the usage remains fairly consistent. So if you drastically change what you're doing, you need to redo one.
I know one of the big things we always talk about is getting that long-term tax planning right. What's one of the key things to do that?
Structure of your business, that's the biggest one. So if you've got your business structured appropriately, you have more options of how you can do things. So there's no one size fits all approach to your structure, but it's certainly worth talking to your advisor before you get set up on what you're doing. And if you're already set up and you're not sure, at least chatting about whether there's any opportunities to change and if there's any impact of doing that.
And the most common structure you're seeing put in place these days?
Mostly company owned by a trust, but again, no one size fits all. Talk to your advisor.
Yeah, and a 25% tax rate in the company is pretty appealing.
Yeah, none better than that other than superannuation.
Yeah, and one final tip for everybody else, what about around owners and how they take money out? How do we make sure they're not paying too much tax on that?
Yeah, and that sort of flows from the structuring, John. Like if you've got your business structured appropriately, you've got a few more options on how you can be remunerated. Could be dividends, it could be trust distributions. That can also change your obligations. If you're getting paid by dividends or trust distributions, no payroll tax, no obligation to withhold tax from your monthly payments, no obligation to pay superannuation, but it's something to consider because again, that can be deductible in your own name.
And a lot more flexibility as to where the income ends up as well.
Heaps more flexibility, and that's probably the biggest thing about structure.
Yep, great. Thank you, Craig. Craig's recently, with his team, just gone through and updated the Top Tax Tactics ebook for FY25. So you can download that below and compare that to your circumstances and see what other opportunities there are in that for you. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Craig or your usual contact here at Business Depot. And of course, you can subscribe below or via LinkedIn.